How did Fujimoto reinvent nuclear weapons in Chainsaw Man? Explained. In this video, I found a Reddit post which was confused as to how nuclear weapons were reinvented, so I decided to use this post as the basis for this video, and of course to address the part from this post that made me absolutely cringe. You don't want to miss it. So if you haven't dropped that like, be sure to subscribe as we are on our march to 11,000 subscribers. So let's dive into this post that I think is really interesting. So this post is titled, "The latest chapter was kind of stupid," which implies they are not just unhappy about chapter 210, but think the entire premise is obtuse, careless, and has a severe lack of intelligence. The post goes on to say, nuclear weapons coming back was a dumb thing to do. It's really messed up all the world building so far. How can things just come back? Will there be new nuclear weapon devils now, or is it the old one? What if Chainsaw Man spits up the old one? Will they fuse or will they just be two? What's the limit of reinventing a concept? Can that star that makes people go insane come back? Why are devils so scared of Chainsaw Man if they can still come back? And we'll talk about the second half of this post later in the video because yeesh. But that is a lot to kind of digest. So we'll break it down more, but remember to keep things civil. Troll or not, we are not mindless monkeys unless Makima is on screen, then I guess it's okay. But I really want to just focus on their questions, with this first being, how can things just come back? Which is an oversimplification of what actually happened. As stated in the chapter, Yoru and the news anchor gave us enough details to understand that the Americans reinvented nuclear weapons from scratch. This was achieved through a necessity for humans to create a weapon that could kill devils. One thing that humans obviously excel at is reinvention and evolution. Nuclear weapons are simply a concept that was created by them, an invention. This was achieved through simply using science, mathematics, and other things to create it again. Think of it like this: if Pochita ate the Hembaba devil, doing so would erase the concept from existence in everyone's memory. But the beef devil, the tomato devil, bread devil, so on and so forth, all still exist individually. Therefore, Hembaba can be reinvented despite humanity knowing nothing about it. It is the same thing with nukes as, like the Hembaba, it is a recipe. All they had to do was put 2 and 2 together, just as they did before in the 1940s, and it can exist again through reinvention. Now, moving on to the second question of there being a new nuclear weapons devil. Is there a new nuclear weapons devil? That isn't exactly confirmed with specifics, but most likely, yes, there is a new devil, because Pochita literally ate the last one, and because of the reinvention of the weapon, that means there should be a new nuclear weapons devil, as Yoru literally states in the chapter, because it is simple. He ate the last one, it is inside his tummy, but the American government, by reinventing it, has created a new version of it. Same devil, but now there are potentially two. The third question is more or less asking what are the limits, which once again is more obvious than you'd think. The limits are those found within the Hembaba analogy, pretty much I made at the top of the video. Obviously, the Earth Devil, if it were eaten, couldn't be reinvented. It is not an invention, it is a celestial object created through natural means, just like uranium and plutonium. Even though humans can create uranium and plutonium, these are naturally occurring things and not inventions, at least I think. So the limit is basically whatever Pochita and or Denji think the limit is. If they want to, they can erase it forever by simply eating all of the ingredients, the uranium and plutonium devil, and then the elements which create uranium and plutonium. Now, about the star that makes people insane, can that come back? Well, no, but there could be others which are created through natural means which could achieve that. I won't be redundant because I think you get the idea at this point. However, the final part of this first paragraph is simply asking why anyone would be scared of Chainsaw Man if other devils can just come back. And that is kind of a bit of an issue. Well, to simply state, it is because they can be erased. That's why. Just because there is a natural loophole in the logic of Pochita's ability doesn't exactly mean that Chainsaw Man still isn't powerful. He can erase entire concepts at a whim, and just because they can be recreated, at least some of them, not all of them as we established, doesn't mean that that isn't effective. It still takes time and knowledge to get to the point of reinvention. It doesn't happen in 5 minutes with the press of a button or a TikTok video, right? Keep in mind, it has taken in Chainsaw Man time nearly 70 years for humans to reinvent nuclear weapons. That ain't nothing. But now let's get into the last portion of this post, which is more or less just me sort of like venting. They say it really just killed all of the hype Pochita had because he went from erasing things from reality to he makes things go away until they come back. Like, that's just way more dull. I really hope he didn't just nuke his series to make an ice-cold America bad take that everyone's been saying for the last 20 years. Obviously, the second half of this post is very discouraging on the reader's part because not only did we establish there wasn't a real attempt to understand or dive into their own questions, but they also boiled down Fujimoto's story as an attempt to just say America bad, and that by doing so, it killed all of the hype for Pochita and nuked the entire series. I don't have to really tell you why this is simply not a good take at all. It's an extreme representation of a problem that doesn't really even exist in the first place. This part feels more like bait to me because the entire post doesn't even try to go beyond just stating questions, as if they are insurmountable hurdles which cannot be crossed. Which is funny to me because the irony of their statement is this decision makes the series dull, but in reality, it actually adds even more depth to the writing, the lore, and world building of the series in a way that opens up new stories and, well, potentially better fights, which I am sure this person would say Chainsaw Man Part 1 is better and Part 2 fell off because Makima wasn't in it and it is boring somehow. But what I do hope is that by breaking down this bad take that we learned more about the series if you were somehow confused on the concepts introduced in 210. You're not dumb for not getting it. It happens to the best of us. I've made a lot of dumb comments as viewers will know and understand. And speaking of, let's get into why I am sort of spamming content for today and tomorrow on Chapter 210. Well, to simply put, I am starting up college again in August, and so I need the money to pay for tuition, and even more importantly, finally go to the optometrist to order a new pair of glasses, which currently have a big annoying scratch which gives me a headache, and the glasses themselves are also 15 years old and fall off my face and don't even fit. And that costs about $600, and to pay for the appointment, which, that's about another $150. So if some of these videos do seem redundant or not too, they don't make sense or seem a little try-hardy, that is actually sort of my intention, but not on purpose, and I am simply just trying to maximize my profits for July, so when I go into August and go to school, I'm not the one guy in class with scratched up glasses like I'm some hillbilly or something. So if you could, please do drop a like, subscribe, comment below. All of these things really help me out and help me not be seen as a dumbass, which I am. If you haven't, check out the video on the screen here and join my Discord. I will see you guys on August 12th for Chapter 211 of Chainsaw Man.